Most cover arts are not that great. It's either a photo of an artist or a band, and unless it's made by a professional photographer, it's super overused, or some random picture bashed together in a Photoshop, even more overused. What would help you to stand out is a original artwork, like a CG art or an illustration. But with original artwork, you have to take care of lighting, coloring, typography, composition. This is why artists and designers can charge from a couple thousand to sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for a professional cover art. This is why I created a cover art builder. Using free and open source software, Blender, which you can download for free on the official website, you can simply open my file and have a professional cover art in minutes. You don't need any 3D knowledge, any design skills or art skills. If you're only changing parameters and collection using my layout, professional result is basically guaranteed. On the other hand, if you really want to go deep into changing your artwork and you do have some 3D or design knowledge and skills, you can absolutely do that. You can just use the cover art builder file as your asset pack and use it in other projects. And yes, you can animate your cover arts. So here we are in the cover art builder file. So on the left side, you have all of these parameters that you can change. You have a little menu over here and a little color selector over here for something else, whatever. And here you have your collections. You can think of this like layers in Photoshop or your files in the file system. Basically, you can enable in one main group over here, background. Let me just collapse them so we can see better. Main thing, secondary detail, background, type, that's your typography, and final details. And by adding one of the collections to your composition, you can have a unique cover art. So right now we have this cassette tape over here, it's the default layout. Cassette tape over here, dots background, and let me just show you how you would see what you're actually doing. So in here we have this viewport over here, but you can change it by clicking here and have a render view. So we have our cassette tape, we have our typography, and we have the artist over here. Now let's change it to something more fun. Let's say I want to change it to this retro car, and here in the parameters we have a couple of parameters. So one by one, this is a dolly zoom. It's gonna change the focal length of your camera but also move closer to the objects, and it gives you this effect. It's basically for animation more or less, but you can play around with this to have this stretch out effect. Dramatic lighting. By default you have this default lighting and you can rotate it. It's pretty cool. It's like an environment map, it's a panorama around. So you can rotate it, and you can change the hue of your lighting. It will affect everything in this scene, including the typography. So the typography and every glowing element in the composition will actually match the coloring of the whole composition. Now you can also change the saturation, so you can have a black and white or oversaturated artwork like this one. And dramatic lighting will change, basically switch between two modes, and you can have an in between, like from 0 to 1. It's either full dramatic like this, and rotation still works, but the color of lighting is down there, so you can have it really dramatic. Or you can have it less than 1, so you can have your original lighting a little bit showing up like it's a night scene or something. And you can rotate it and have a fun artwork like this one. Whatever, so let's turn it off. Hue basically changes the hue. That's pretty obvious. You can go again from 0 to 1, and you can always in Blender hold shift while you dragging with your mouse this value, and this is how it works. Or you can input your value by typing, of course. So you can hit 1, enter, and here we go, it's 1. rotation is the same way, is between 0 and 1, and hold your shift to change it slowly. And also you can press backspace to set, while hovering the mouse over this value, to set the value to the default, like it was when you opened the file, like so. So now it's all default if you don't like what you've done or something. And of course Ctrl Z works, so you can just change that, press Ctrl Z, and it changed back. You have a couple of materials over here. I will probably remove the saturation to show it better. So you have, again, from 0 to 1, it goes from this metallic dirty material to completely black material, to this white stone kind of material, you can see it better, and to this completely glossy material. And another lighting option is this psychedelic value, and it will replace your lighting with psychedelic clouds like these, which will reflect, and with any material that you use, but really first and the last one, it looks the best. It will give you this cool psychedelic result. And rotation will rotate your main object, every object that is in this main thing category. Secondary rotation will, rotate some other stuff that you can change, like for example here it will rotate, it will not rotate, I believe that it will rotate my knives. So you can rotate this a little bit or you have this chain, and you can rotate this chain if you don't like that, and that's that. You have rotation, saturation, secondary rotation. Side shift will change your layout a little bit to the left or right. Zoom will zoom everything out and in, but keep the text at the same place, because you can click on this and move your text around like so. And the fun stuff begins, and miniature will make everything blurry in the background. It will use the actual 3D depth of field like you would see on the photograph. So something like this. And entropy value is the fun one, because for each of the main, and I have a lot of them here, of the main object, like let's say this retro computer, entropy will do something fun, like this, or with the cassette, something like this, and with a skull, it will open his mouth, and I have a couple of skulls. We'll do this. Let's change the look real quick, and you can see what's really the point of this file, how easily I can really change the look of the whole image. And now it's black, and let's remove the saturation, and now it's more gothic. And you know what, actually I have this glow value, and it goes from 0 to 50 to make it super glowy, but we don't need that. I can actually go in the negative values over here and have a completely dark look, and this will affect all of the backgrounds and invert them to match the lighting. And you can actually return back your saturation and have a colorful but light. See, dramatic lighting actually overrides it. In all of these, I have a bunch of let's turn back, I guess, psychedelic, and I want to use the reflective material. So here's one. Here we go. Have a diamond. Some of these have versions, so this diamond is made of, diamond material, or it can be with your material from this part of the file. The same with the Walkman. you have this material, or you have colorful material like it would be in real life. And the same with this heart over here. You have a second version which is red, and I think it's not that realistic with psychedelic lighting, but now it looks decent. The same with an eye. You have an actual eye, and some of them have objects that you can turn off, like a secondary object to them, to the collections. So with this rose you can remove the skeleton hand, and with this dragonfly you can remove wing details if you want to. Let's select this object over here and zoom in a little. And I guess I should explain you how to work with text, and that's pretty simple. You basically click on your text, and here in object mode you change to the edit mode, and now you can type whatever you want. Type something, and then once again you don't hit enter, you just go into the object mode again, and you can drag it around. You can actually, even if you use this white line, you can rotate it. And now if you want to change the font, over here come down to letter A, and here I have a bunch of pre-made fonts for you, and all of them are renamed to be, you know, easy to understand. And here in font you have your scale, so just drag this and you can drag it around, and you can drag this around. But what if you want to change, well, you can change the font of any type, like let's change this to pixel again. And I guess, yeah, to change your look, we can make it glow, which is more pixelarty, or we can make it more light, again like so. But what if you don't like this typography layout? Well, it's okay, because I have a couple of them. So you have big type over here, and it looks better with glow, like so. And I have one frame and the second frame, and I guess this is where you use your side shift to shift everything a little bit to the right. And let's press backspace over it to change it back. You have this blurred label, so it's gonna use this cool gradient, and of course it's all, if you change your lighting, it changes the color of your gradient, and if you change the hue, it changes the color of everything to match what you're doing. You have this rectangle, and you have a glow version, and you need to go easy on the glow with this one. And you have your label, tiny label. The background is pretty cool. If I remove the secondary object over here and add some glow, it's gonna be behind like so, and maybe I can utilize the miniature to blur it a little so it looks like a neon sign in the background or something. And yeah, let's turn that off. And you have your huge background type, small, simple. You have this frame, and you have this stripe, and all of them pretty cool. All of them you can change your font. So let's once again use this, and you can go into the edit mode and Control A like in any program, and change this to type something. And this one in particular will repeat it a couple of times. So I think I'm happy with something like, I just want to show you off some of the other stuff. So let's keep it simple for now. We have the main thing, which you select here. We have a bunch of them, a bunch of vaporwave sculptures. This one with VR and entropy does fun stuff. So you can always explore what entropy does. And the cat slices, and cicada does this. Now let's say we select it. one, and let's stick with it. What you want to do next is select this secondary detail. It's like a frame around your object. So I have a bunch of these here. Triangles, stripes. Some of them are, for different genres. So for example, if you want to make like a super heavy metal cover, I would change the material to something like, we'll see, I guess let's try this glossy dirty one, remove this psychedelic and go hard on the dramatic light. Something like this. Rotate your lights a little. It's a bit too strong. Let's try black material. And this completely red and orange thing, and maybe a bit less of a glow, like 3. And I have a couple of cool fonts to support it, so this one's pretty cool. So let's say we're mixing and matching genres, and it's like a hardcore cyber metal album or something. Let's check the backgrounds. Simple Stars is fine. You have the 80s, this thing, 90s, 70s, grid, dotted grid. I will remove the dramatic lighting for now. Sky, some of the skies, some night skies. I really like this simple space background, and with miniature we can actually blur everything a little like so, and maybe add some dramatic lighting. Change the hue of this to much better. Yeah, now it looks pretty cyberpunk, and this artist's title, you know what, I don't like it, so I will just remove it completely. I will just click while selected, delete on my keyboard, and it's been deleted. Now, let's say you want the final detail, so you know what, I don't like this material. Surprisingly, this one pops more. So a final detail is some objects around your main thing, so pick that. It's pretty simple and intuitive too. So you have this, you have a barbed wire, you have some palm leaves, you have lines. So now what I need to do is just, maybe I should turn this off and go to render image. Wait a second or a couple. It's pretty quick and it's rendered. Depending on your hardware, it can go faster or slower. I have a pretty good computer, but now what we want to do is actually we can just save it right here. Actually, we can just go to image and save as and save your cover art, but if not, you can just tab back, because that's a new window, into your thing and open the post-processing tab. And in here default is pretty good. You have a little bit of noise, you have a little bit of shadow saturation, but yeah, let's utilize some features over here. So what you need to do here, just connect dots, yellow dots from here to any of the nodes, to the output, to here, and let it go, and automatically connects, automatically recomposites. You wait a second, and here we go, the VHS effect. Or you can use one of these to do this stupid thing, and then plug it back into the VHS and do the output, like so. Wait a second, and it's stuck, side shifted like this. Pretty cool. By default, this desaturated shadows makes it, well, it desaturates shadows, and if you know anything about color correction, it really makes it look a little bit more polished and classy, I would say. But yeah, let's just check it out. This is with desaturated shadows, and this is without. So it's more colorful this way, but it's more like realistic. Yeah, so if you have a low spec computer, like you don't have a gaming PC or anything like that, and if you do have a GPU, it's basically like a video game. The better computer you have, the better, you know, frame rates and everything you will get with your cover art builder, because it uses a real-time render engine. But if you have a low spec computer, you can just click on this tab over here and you will get the same controls but on this smaller screen, and it's still possible to use. It's the same thing basically, but everything will run faster. So let's say I just installed Blender and I opened it up, and you will be greeted with the default whatever. You don't probably care about default file, default layout. The cool thing about Blender is that you can just drag and drop your file in and click open. It's gonna load it up, and here I have it. It's gonna pull up the whole window layout, and it's saved in the file, and everything is in a single file. You don't need to care about any of the Blender interface stuff. All you need to do is change your parameters here and change your parameters there and press render image, and it's all good. You have a professionally made cover art. Go to the Gumroad right now and you have a free demo version that will not include all of the artwork that you see here, but you can check it out for yourself. It includes a couple of artworks free to use. Everything here is royalty free, so you don't have to pay any royalties for fonts or images or anything like that really. So yeah, check it out.